Welcome to the channel of Butterflies and Things, and today we're talking about DIYing the clothes for your doll. So, what about making the clothes yourself?
Yeah, that's a possibility. One of the reasons I don't have any full sets is because I made all of my clothes myself, basically. Like everything here.
Yeah, well, that is extensive amounts of work.
Yes.
I've got, you know, complete kimono and everything.
Yes, and my friend made this, of course, as the full set sample. And you have to get some sewing skills, of course. And even if you don't, you can still do a simple thing. Follow a tutorial on YouTube somewhere. Pattern pieces. You need pattern pieces to make clothing. Usually you can find somebody who has drawn something, especially if it's something simple, because yeah, I always drew all my patterns myself. This one has a there you go, has a coat that I made just for him because he has an odd size. Of course he has an odd size, otherwise I wouldn't buy him. I only buy odd sizes.
Well, he has an odd everything.
Yes,
all that.
That's because he's a robot.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, no. So he has, I made this coat for him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it off now for him.
Can show the amazing legs here.
But he was a little bit naked without his coat, so I gave him a coat. And I'm gonna make it here. And for that I had to draw a pattern.
Yeah.
See the pattern pieces like that, because it's a properly tailored coat. It needs pattern.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And these lines,
that was in the fabric.
Oh, okay.
I just made sure that I chose to put the pattern pieces so it would make that effect.
It looks,
because the
so
pattern
proper.
was basically like this, just circles on a rough material, and then I just made use of that to give it the back like that.
Yeah.
And the fronts like this. And I made a closure of, it's magnetic closure.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah,
well, it's a robot. Of course, I'm going to do something interesting with the magnetic.
That's amazing. Very cool. Very cool.
Of course, you don't have to go that complicated as your first project. Just start with skirts. A skirt is the easiest thing you can make.
Okay.
Like a hoop skirt, like she has. This is a complicated one, but basically the pattern is quite simple. It's a circle with. Let me see if I can actually take hers off. Yes, I can. Yeah. I'm gonna take him away. It's basically.
Down we go.
Down we go. It's basically a circle. This is a circle with a little bit of space taken out. Actually, I think it's a flat one, and then she cinched it here, brought it together so you can see it better if I turn it inside out like that. So very simple pattern, just gathered here at the front, and then to make it interesting.
Put layers
of these things on, just sew them on and then turn it over.
Yeah, it's a really nice idea.
Simple, works every time.
Yeah.
And you can do that, and all you basically need to know is the measurement of her waist here, and of her hips. So it has to be this part has to be big enough to fit her waist, but small enough that it doesn't fall off her hips. And then you're basically there. And then you can either sew by hand or by machine. This is both. This is machine part, and then she sewed here the closure by hand. Wow. Really well done. So
yeah,
that's your basic skirt.
Yeah. And do things like hide then the where it comes together? You hide it by having these things fall over it.
Yeah, and as you progress in how to in skill in sewing skills, you will find better ways of doing that. This is a good way, because when it's closed, it will just sit like this, and you won't see it at all.
It looks like any other part of it.
Yeah,
and that's a really
and it's
interesting.
here, but then it closes up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. So so if you want to sew, you start with probably skirt concept.
I'd start with a skirt concept, yeah, unless you have a boy, but you might still want to give him a skirt.
Absolutely. We need those.
Absolutely. I think that's the easiest place to start, is a skirt.
Yeah.
Because a top is already, you start to have to worry about the shape and stuff like that.
Yes, and what I worry about is like the insets for the arms. This looks very, I mean, obviously this has got puff sleeves, which if anyone's there and with an land at the moment, we love puff sleeves. But it is very complex to make, and of course the ladies back then in like 1900, they were doing this every day. It's part of their normal everyday learning skills to learn how to sew. And they would make this, but we don't know it. If you
want to make something like that, that's one thing that is fun about dolls of this size, especially like the SDs, is that they are so big that you can just go with human type patterns.
Oh.
So the skill of putting a sleeve like that is the same for a doll as it is for a human.
Nice.
So you can just look up the human way of doing it and just do it that way.
So literally tutorials on YouTube or description tutorials, blogs and things like that, that would just literally work.
Yes.
And you just take this size instead of
the only thing you have to consider is that because they are 3 times smaller than life, the material compared becomes 3 times bigger. Thicker, especially thicker. Yeah. So if you want to make blue jeans, it's possible, but you'd have to find the really thinnest material of blue jeans that you can find. Otherwise, because blue jeans, like, you have one point where you have like 6 or 8 layers of the stuff, and if that's the regular type of material in that small, you're not going to be able to do it. So on a human,
so you have to scale the fabric to fit the same type of effect on the doll that it has on a human.
On this one, I actually used a sample from a curtain. For this, which was a thin curtain, but but
it's a fairly thick coat.
As a coat, it almost stands up by itself. All I have to do is like hold it up like that. It stands up by itself, literally, because because it's now the doll is actually 1/4, so it's 4 times thicker than it should than in their reality. It's 4 times thicker than in our reality.
Yeah,
and so it's actually quite a stiff material.
So in the case of a jeans, imagine if your jeans cloth, the fabric, is 4 times that. You just put 4 layers on top of each other. Imagine that effect would have on you as a person, and then try to find something that has that much smaller for your doll.
As thin as you can go.
And probably you don't want to start with jeans, because jeans are hard.
No, jeans are hard.
But anyway, just as a
jeans is masterclass. Don't go for jeans.
And here, this is beautifully thin. This is almost see-through. This little area here.
This is a muslin. A very thin cotton. This is what this is.
So she chose that for extra.
For fluff
maneuverability.
Yeah, exactly. So it would fall like a natural full human skirt.
Yeah.
And it does.
And this is probably the same as what people might have when hanging on the windows, rather than what people would be wearing.
No, because it's a cotton. But it would have been like
very see-through.
It's very see-through. It's very much underclothing. It's actually, I think you can see her flowers through it.
Yeah, of her whatever. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
This is a really good outfit.
It's so well done, really. Your friend did an awesome job.
Yes, she did.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah. Look for human sized, especially for SD size. When you go MSD size, so I like my dolls bigger. Most of them are SDs and some MSDs. You start to run into problems of material thickness, and that you can actually the holes where the arms go through it are going to be so fiddly, and I don't like fiddly stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is complex down here. There's a lot of. I'm trying to get to the armpit area here. There's a lot of layers.
Oh, I have
four sets of things coming together.
Yeah, and it's a problem area.
It's
I have
difficult.
problems getting it done, and then you have to resew. So if
beautifully done.
I don't make clothing for one size smaller because it's just too small for me. But you can just get thinner material and get into it and fiddly.
Yeah, possibly get some good lighting.
Yeah, indeed. The only thing, let me see if I can actually make an example of that. No, not really. Okay.
Okay. Well, but these are actually some good examples of what the fabric will do at this size. Because this is a 1/4 size. This is 1/3 size.
This is a large 1/4.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. So I have like, let me get her out. So she has, if you feel it, she has a really thin cotton fabric here, but it's actually, you can see it looks quite stiff on her already because she's a 1/6 doll.
1/6.
A OSD.
That's
and it stands out. It doesn't fall anymore like this does. It doesn't, which is in this case why I chose it, because it would stand out like this and make a pretty dress. Yeah. But the original material is meant to be very flowy, and it's not because of the size. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's soft. When I put my hands on it, it's really soft. It should flow, but it's just it looks very stiff on because of the design, and this is meant to keep it stiff. This particular lining here. Yeah, but if she was a real girl, you would consider this pretty stiff clothing. It's thick clothing, and she's not. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. It really isn't. That's what it looked like. But it's interesting. It has that effect immediately visually. When you look at it, going, oh wow, that's what was intended. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a matter of material choice. I chose this material knowing that it would going to look a little stiff. It would hold its shape like this. If I'd want something more flowy, I'd have to find something a lot thinner. Yeah. For her. But I wanted this, and that's what I got. So I made this one as well. The clothing. The doll is a Lutz. Hello. Hello, very cute. I'm gonna put back. Okay. Well, any pitfalls to look out for when starting to make your own clothes for the dolls? Yeah, one of the problems is when you buy materials is that a lot of vendors will only sell you a meter. And you have to remember, even for an SD, she's 3 times smaller than we are. That means that if you buy a size of fabric is about 140 or 150 wide, and then you buy it in meter chunks. So if you buy a 150 by a meter, put it in her world, you have 150 times 3 is 450. By 1 meter is 3 meters. It's 450 by 3 meters. So it's a very strange. It's enormous. Large. You could basically use it as a tablecloth. You could use it for the entire window, big window of the house in her world. Yeah. And the problem with that is not that. Well, if you want to buy an expensive material, that can be a problem, because you'd rather buy half a meter, and they don't always do that. If it's really expensive, they do that. If you whine enough, they do that. I have whined in places. It's necessary. But also, if you want to, like, not all the dolls look the same, you can only make one outfit out of it. Yeah. You can only make one out. I could only make one outfit out of this. Yeah, because it's very specific. Yeah. And if I make another one, it looks like it's from the same fabric. It doesn't look individual. You can only make something that goes along with this outfit. Yeah, or for the same doll or in the same style, and so you don't want extras. You really do want to go for half a meter. You really do want to go for half a meter. You have to kind of like flutter your eyelashes and be really nice to the. Yeah, and I do. If it's expensive enough, I do, because if this was actually a sample piece, and I think was indeed quite a large chunk, but it only cost me $250. So. Huh. Yeah, because it was out of fashion already for Windows for Windows, and so it only cost me $2.50. But then I have all that stock left, basically, and it's just sitting there.
With it.
Yeah, no. I can make a bag out of it, but I have like 50 other pieces I can make bags out.
Because this will also not go bad very quickly. It's not like the dolls lead a hard life. They don't go out, maybe fictionally, but they don't in reality go out playing in the mud every day.
Yeah.
So they don't go through the through the washer and dryer.
They don't, yeah,
so
indeed.
Clothes actually don't wear out as fast as
Indeed. So
people's clothing.
So basically, this is his outfit, and he's going to be wearing it for his lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Yeah. Some things that maybe a couple of things that want to add. If you're going to start sewing, and you have a new fabric, these fabrics, when they are new, are impregnated with materials to make sure that when they are stored, they stay fine.
Yeah.
And if you like used to sewing for people, then what you do is you first launder it,
yeah.
and then you iron it, and then you start making. Just also to make sure it doesn't shrink, and then and then if you've made it, then you wash it, and then it turns out it doesn't fit anymore. Yeah. I'm going to recommend that if you do it for dolls, don't wash it, and use it unless you really are allergic to the whatever is in it, because the finished clothing will be lasting longer in that way, because it will have the impregnation still on it.
Oh right, okay. So you do the opposite of what you do with people.
Yes.
Okay. Not something I would have thought about, but very, it's a good idea.
Laundered material will perish faster because it's getting dust, and if it gets dusty, if you have to clean the clothing, first thing you do is go outside and really give it a proper shake to get all the dust out, which as I did with him and all the dolls from today. Mm-hmm. That will usually take care of it. If you need to launder it because you spilled coffee over it, which I don't recommend, by the way.
Don't do that.
And if you're going to do that, do it on your own dolls and not on other people's dolls.
Yikes.
They will be very, very upset. Yes. If you need to launder it because it actually got dirt on it, dirty dirt, and not just dust dirt.
Not stuff you can
wipe off or shake out.
Shake out, yeah.
If you made it yourself, you know what materials it is. But if you have not made it yourself and you have to go launder it, and you have, especially if you have a red thing that's made in China, separately swish it in lukewarm water. If you need, add some sort of detergent or maybe a shampoo is even better. But only if you need it.
So you treat it like the highest of
woolen cashmeres, yes.
Yeah.
And red will run. If it's made in China, red will run, blue will run. So make sure that you do not put any colors together. Yep. And if you have something that consists of red and white in the same thing.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You have a problem. Don't get it dirty. My advice is do not get it dirty.
So it's always a good idea, but
this outfit made by my friend is my friend is an American, so this is not a Chinese outfit, so I will be very easily to be able to wash this, no problem.
And it's one color, so you just take
but I would wash it.
Water.
I would still wash it separately. I would not expect it to run. It will not run, I'm sure. But I would wash this separately. I would wash each piece separately.
Yeah.
And then lay it out to dry on a dry piece of paper. Yeah. Not straight on newspaper, because otherwise it picks up the print. You don't want that. So if you want to use newspaper, you can, but put a clear piece of paper on top first, and then your clothing on top. The clothing on top of that.
Yes. Yes.
And try not to get it dirty in the first place.
Yeah. Try to avoid washing, but if you need it, here are the instructions.
Don't give the dolls any jam sandwiches. That's the thing.
Yeah.
No cake, no jam sandwiches, no coffee, no ice cream.
No chocolate ice cream.
No chocolate ice cream.
That is just...
Or even vanilla ice cream.
Criminal.
It's cruel, I know.
It is,
but you know, all for the sake of art.
Yes, well, on that note, we're running out of time, so I'm just gonna call it and say that's a lot of information. It's also some good advice on how to keep your clothes good. And if you like it, give us a thumbs up because we love that. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, hey, awesome. Ring the bell if you want updates from us. If you have a question, please send it in here or on the Facebook group. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Don't go away, we have extras.
Yes, about making your own clothing. If you get like a doll home and you have like, oh my god, naked, you can very simply make a little dress from an old sock, or a new sock in this case.
Really? This is a sock?
This is just a sock, and I removed the...
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know where I was gonna go. I
removed the toes. The toes were here.
Right.
And this is actually, because it's an MSD, I've got a children's sock. Here's the...
That's a good...
Here's the heel. And then to make sure it doesn't flop down, I just put in a piece of ribbon and tied it at the back.
Aww.
And that's basically it. Yeah, something like that. Very simple. And this one had a nice design on it. Yeah. Which in case I misused for this purpose.
Yeah.
So that's a simple thing you can do. For SD dolls, I suggest grown-up socks. For MSD dolls, teen or under kids socks, and you can even do it for USD. Just get some newborn socks or something.
Aww.
There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube as well where you can do more with it. But this is just a simple way to make sure that your doll is decently dressed and
immediately.
Yeah.
Quick fix dress.
And that's it.
Oh, very good.